All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel, and in this presentation, I'll be taking on the role of the Union Grievance Chairperson to defend Jim Norbuck in Case 4. This case brings up serious concerns about employee rights, employer bias, and the fair enforcement of collective bargaining agreements. We'll walk through the case background, my role, the violations I believe occurred, and what outcome we seek for Norbuck. Moving to the introduction. This case is centered around Jim Norbuck, who was terminated by Leach Industries for allegedly falsifying his job application. But if you take a closer look, it becomes clear that this termination wasn't really about the application. It was retaliation for his union involvement. Today, I'll explain my stance on this issue, walk you through the case details, cite legal and contractual standards, and explain fair outcome we're seeking, Norbuck's reinstatement. Let's talk about my role in this case. As the Union Grievance Chairperson, I'm responsible for ensuring the rights outlined in the collective bargaining agreement are upheld. It's my duty to challenge any termination that seems unfair, discriminatory, or retaliatory. In this situation, my role is to advocate for Norbuck and to present evidence that his firing was a violation of the contract and potentially labor law. Here's a quick summary of what happened in the case. Jim Norbuck applied for a job at Leach Industries, omitting details about his education due to concerns about being overqualified. He completed this probation successfully, earned a raise, and became an active in the union organizing. After he handed out pro-union materials during a strike, the HR director suddenly had his background investigated. Notably, no one else was investigated. He was fired, supposedly for falsification, but the timing and selective enforcement tell a different story. Now let's dig into the violations of the collective bargaining agreement. The CBA clearly requires just cause for termination. That means the company has to prove that an employee did something serious enough to warrant being fired. Norbuck had already been evaluated and kept on after probation. That's a sign that satisfaction with his performance. The company had never claimed his education caused problems or affected his job. They also didn't consult the union before his firing, which is a procedural failure. Carroll and Hackett emphasized that employers must follow both substantive and procedural fairness when disciplining union workers. Let's talk about how the investigation was biased. After Norbuck passed out union materials, HR Director Susan Napoli went out of her way to dig into his background. She didn't launch a general audit. She didn't check the applications of all the employees, just Norbuck. That's targeted retaliation. McLaughlin states that targeting union supporters with disciplinary action is a classic form of retaliation. The fact that he was the only one investigated strongly supports this argument. Let's consider the legal side of this case. Even under Pennsylvania law, deceit requires proven harm and reliance. Norbuck didn't lie. He left sections blank, and the company was never harmed for that. He did his job well and even received a raise. Levin and Carter argue that arbitrators must look at actual impact, not just technicalities. Norbuck was an asset to the company. This wasn't fraud, it was retaliation. So what are we asking for? What are we looking to do here? If we succeed in this grievance, the union is asking for three things. First, full reinstatement of Jim Norbuck to his previous position. Second, full payback to make up for lost wages during this wrongful termination. He should be paid for all of the time that he missed at work. Third, removal of the discharge from his employment record. These steps would restore his career and send a message to management that retaliation against union activity won't be tolerated. So to wrap things up, in closing, this case is about fairness, transparency, and the power of collective bargaining. The company fired an employee who had done nothing wrong. unless standing up for union rights counts as wrongdoing. Jim Norbuck deserves to have his job and reputation restored. As Union Grievance Chairperson, I stand up firmly in support of this grievance and urge reinstatement with full benefits. And here are the references that support this position. Once again, my name is Daniel Hoole, and thank you for this.